The meeting room was bigger than any building on Earth. Its walls were made of crystal that showed the stars outside. Ambassador Lisa Coleman sat at the huge table and tried to stay calm. She had been here for 3 months now. 3 long months of listening to demands that got worse every day. The alien across from her had long tentacles instead of arms. This was the Zephyrian delegate. When it talked, a machine changed its strange sounds into words Lisa could understand. The Zephyrian's tentacles moved back and forth as it spoke. Humans must remove most of their soldiers from space. You will keep only 10%. The rest must go back to Earth. This is what we have decided. You cannot say no to this. Lisa felt Captain Jack Morrison shift in his seat next to her. Jack was a good soldier who had fought in many battles. He knew how to stay quiet even when he was angry. But Lisa could see his hands were making fists under the table. The room had many different aliens in it. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of light and energy. A few were rocks that could think and talk. They all called themselves the Galactic Council. They said they kept peace in the galaxy. But Lisa was starting to think they just wanted to control everyone. Another alien started to talk. This one was made of pure energy trapped inside a metal body. It was an Altarian. Its voice came out like music, but the words were not nice. Humans are also working on quantum weapons. This must stop right away. Your species is too young. You have only been in space for 100 years. You are like children playing with fire. You will burn yourselves and everyone else too. Lisa looked at Dr. Amy Foster, who sat on her other side. Amy was Earth's smartest scientist. She knew things about quantum science that even these old aliens did not know. Amy's face stayed calm, but her eyes told Lisa she was thinking the same thing. These aliens had no idea how much humans had already learned. The truth was simple. Humans learned faster than any other species in the galaxy. What took other races 1,000 years to figure out, humans did in decades. The Council was scared of this. They wanted to stop humans before they got too powerful. A third alien began to speak. This one looked like it was made of living crystal. Every time it moved, it made sounds like bells ringing. This was the Krovar ambassador. We have one more demand. Humans will give control of the Sol jump gates to us. The Council will decide who can enter and leave your solar system. This is for everyone's safety. Lisa felt something break inside her. The jump gates were doorways through space. They let ships travel between stars in seconds instead of years. Humans had built their own jump gates around Earth and their colonies. If the Council controlled them, they would control everything about human life. She thought about Earth. She thought about the colonies on Mars, on Europa, and on the dozen other worlds humans had settled. All those people were counting on her to protect them. They trusted her to speak for them. The room was quiet now. All the aliens were looking at her, waiting for her answer. Some of them looked smug, like they had already won. Others seemed bored, like this was just another young race being put in its place. Lisa stood up slowly. When she moved, every alien in the room turned to watch her. She was smaller than most of them, but she did not feel small. She felt like she was carrying the hopes of 10 billion humans on her shoulders. The human delegation needs to talk in private. We request a break in the meeting. The Zephyrian's tentacles stopped moving. You have 1 hour. Then you will give us your answer. Lisa nodded and walked out of the room. Jack and Amy followed her. As soon as the door closed behind them, Jack finally spoke. They're not trying to make peace, they're trying to make us slaves. Amy was already pulling out her data pad. I've been running numbers on their demands. If we say yes to even half of this, our colonies will die. We won't have enough ships to bring them food and supplies. We won't be able to protect them from pirates. Lisa walked to the window and looked out at space. She could see the human ship Odyssey floating nearby. It was smaller than the Council ships around it, but she knew it was faster and stronger. Humans built things to work, not to look impressive. They think we're weak, Lisa said quietly. They think we need them. Jack came to stand beside her. Do we? Lisa turned to look at him. No, we never did. We came here because we wanted friends, not masters. Amy joined them at the window. What do we do? If we say no to their demands, they might attack us. Lisa smiled. It was not a happy smile. Let them try. They have no idea what we can really do. She walked over to the communication panel on the wall. Get me President Burke, secure channel. The screen lit up and President Alan Burke appeared. He was sitting in his office on Earth. Behind him, Lisa could see the blue sky through his window. It made her homesick. Ambassador Coleman. I take it the meeting is not going well? Lisa shook her head. They want to control our military, stop our research, and take our jump gates. They're treating us like we're dangerous children who need to be watched. The president's face grew hard. And what do you recommend? Lisa took a deep breath. I think it's time to leave, sir. These talks are not about peace. They're about control. President Burke was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. You have my full support, Ambassador. Do what you think is best for humanity. The screen went dark. Lisa turned to Jack and Amy. Pack your things. All of them. We're not coming back to this room. Jack smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen from him in weeks. Finally. Amy was already sending messages on her datapad. I'll tell the science team to prepare for departure. Lisa walked back to the window and looked at the council station one more time. It was beautiful in its own way, but it was not home. It was a cage they were trying to build around humanity. They're about to learn something important, Lisa said. What's that? Jack asked. Humans don't kneel. Not to anyone. The hour was almost up. Soon she would go back into that room and tell the Galactic Council that humanity was done playing their games. She knew they would be shocked. They would be angry. They might even be scared. Good, she thought. It was time they learned what humanity was really made of. The stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, as if they knew something big was about to happen. And in a meeting room full of aliens who thought they ruled the galaxy, one human woman prepared to show them they were wrong. The private conference room was much smaller than the main chamber. It had plain metal walls and simple chairs. This was where humans could talk without aliens listening. Lisa Coleman sat at the head of the table, with Jack Morrison and Amy Foster on either side of her. They were not alone for long. A blue light filled the air above the table. The light turned into shapes, and then into people. These were holograms, but they looked so real you could almost touch them. President Alan Burke appeared first, sitting at his desk on Earth. Then Admiral Susan Chen appeared, standing in the command center of Earth's military headquarters. President Burke spoke first. His voice was calm but serious. Tell me everything. Lisa did not waste time. They want to break us, Mr. President. Each meeting they add new demands. Today they told us to reduce our military by 90%. They want us to stop all quantum research and they want control of our jump gates. Admiral Chen's hologram leaned forward. Even though she was just light and air, her presence filled the room. Susan Chen had led Earth's fleet for 10 years. She had fought pirates, protected colonies, and built humanity's strength in space. Her opinion mattered. If we accept these terms, we become pets, the Admiral said. Nice, tame pets who do what they're told and never cause trouble. Amy Foster opened her datapad and showed everyone a graph. The lines all went down. I've modeled what happens if we say yes. Our economy crashes in 5 years. Maybe less. We won't be able to supply our colonies. Mars would have to be abandoned in 2 years. Europa in 3. The outer colonies would die even faster. Jack Morrison had been quiet until now. He stood up and walked to the wall, then turned back to face everyone. They know this. They have to know this. They're smart enough to run the galaxy, so they're smart enough to do basic math, which means they want us to fail, Lisa said. They want us weak and desperate, so we have to beg them for help. President Burke rubbed his face with his hands. He looked tired. Lisa knew he had not been sleeping well since these talks started. The weight of 10 billion human lives was on his shoulders. What about our other options? The president asked. Can we negotiate, maybe accept some demands but not others? Lisa shook her head. I've tried that for 3 months. Every time I push back on something, they add 2 new demands. They're not Negotiating. They're giving orders. Admiral Chen pulled up her own display. It showed star maps with lots of little dots. Each dot was a ship. Let me show you something. These are council ships around their space. See how they're positioned? Everyone looked at the map. The ships were spread out, covering a huge area but not concentrated anywhere. Now look at our ships, the Admiral continued. The display changed. Human ships were in tight groups, ready to move fast and work together. We're ready for anything. They're ready for nothing. They think their age and size make them strong. But we know better. Amy stood up and walked to the display. She pointed at several spots on the map. There's more. Our quantum research isn't just weapons. We figured out how to make new jump points. We don't need the gates anymore. The room went quiet. This was huge news. Jump gates took years to build and cost more than entire planets. If humans could make jump points without them, everything changed. President Burke stood up in his office. Behind his hologram, Lisa could see him pacing. You're telling me we don't need them at all? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Amy said. We've tested it 15 times. It works. We can go anywhere, anytime without their permission. Jack laughed. It was not a happy sound. So while they were trying to put chains on us, we learned how to fly. The president stopped pacing. He looked directly at Lisa. Ambassador Coleman, I need your honest opinion. Not as a diplomat, but as a person. What should we do? Lisa had been thinking about this moment for weeks. She knew it might come to this. She had practiced what she would say. But now, in the moment, she threw away her prepared speech and spoke from her heart. We came here in good faith. We wanted to join the galaxy as equals. We wanted to share what we learned and learn from others. But they don't see us as equals. They see us as a threat. They're so scared of what we might become that they want to destroy what we are. She stood up and looked at each person in turn. We have two choices. We can accept their demands and slowly die. Or we can walk away and live on our own terms. If we walk away, they might attack us, President Burke said. Admiral Chen smiled. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. Let them try. Our new shields can take anything they throw at us. Our weapons can break through anything they have. And with Amy's new jump points, we can be anywhere in seconds. There's something else, Amy added. I've been in contact with some of the younger species in the council, the ones who joined in the last 1,000 years. They're not happy either. The council treats them badly too. If we leave, others might follow. President Burke sat back down. He was quiet for a long time. Everyone waited. Finally, he spoke. Ambassador Coleman, you have full authority to act as you see fit. Whatever you decide, Earth and all her colonies stand behind you. Lisa felt the weight of those words. The president was giving her the power to change history. What she did in the next hour would affect humanity forever. Thank you, Mr. President. The Citer. President's hologram looked at Admiral Chen. Admiral, prepare the fleet. If this goes badly, I want our people protected. Already done, sir. Every human ship in the galaxy is ready. They're just waiting for the word. The holograms disappeared. Lisa, Jack, and Amy were alone again. Jack walked over to Lisa. You know what you have to do. Yes, Lisa said. I think I've known for weeks. I just hoped they would prove me wrong. Amy put her hand on Lisa's shoulder. They're going to be shocked when we leave. They think we need them too much to walk away. Lisa smiled. Then it's time to correct their mistake. She walked to the communication panel. Captain Ryan, this is Ambassador Coleman. A voice came back immediately. Yes, Ambassador. Prepare the Odyssey for immediate departure. And Captain, make sure all systems are ready, shields, weapons, everything. Understood, Ambassador. We'll be ready. Lisa turned back to Jack and Amy. Pack everything. Don't leave a single human item in this place. We're going home. Jack was already moving. With pleasure. Amy was downloading all her files to a secure drive. I'm sending all our research data back to Earth. They won't get any of it. Lisa walked to the window one more time. Outside, she could see the council ships floating peacefully. They had no idea what was about to happen. They thought this was just another meeting where they would give orders and humans would obey. 3 months, Lisa said quietly. 3 months of insults disguised as diplomacy. 3 months of them trying to make us small. It ends today, Jack said, joining her at the window. Yes, Lisa agreed. It ends today. She checked the time. 5 minutes until the meeting resumed. 5 minutes until she changed everything. You know they'll blame us, Amy said. They'll say we were unreasonable. They'll say we were too aggressive. Lisa turned to face her friends. Let them. History will remember the truth. We came in peace. We leave with our dignity. She straightened her uniform and walked toward the door. Time to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't bow to anyone. Jack and Amy followed her. As they walked through the corridors of the council station, other aliens stopped to stare. Word was already spreading that something was happening. The humans were acting strange. They were packing. They were preparing their ship. Lisa kept walking. Each step took her closer to the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Not as servants or subjects, but as a free people who chose their own path. The door to the main chamber was just ahead. Behind it, the council waited, confident in their power. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The giant doors opened with a soft hiss. Lisa Coleman walked back into the council chamber, but this time she did not sit down. She stood at the human section of the great table, her back straight and her eyes clear. Jack Morrison and Amy Foster stood beside her, not behind her. They were equals, not followers. The room fell silent. Every alien in the chamber turned to look at the humans. Something was different. The humans were not acting like they should. They should be sitting. They should be ready to accept the council's wise decisions. But they remained standing. The Zephyrian delegate's tentacles moved in what Lisa had learned was confusion. Its translator clicked and hummed before speaking. Ambassador Coleman, please take your seat so we may continue. Lisa did not move. When she spoke, her voice carried across the entire chamber. It was not loud, but it was strong. Every word was clear. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, I will remain standing. What I have to say will not take long. Whispers filled the air. Some aliens made sounds Lisa had never heard before. The lighting in the room seemed to flicker as the energy beings showed their surprise. Lisa continued before anyone could interrupt. 3 months ago, humanity came to this chamber with hope. We came seeking friendship. We came offering to share our knowledge and learn from yours. We came as equals seeking our place among the stars. The Krovar ambassador chimed softly, its crystal body catching the light. And the council has been most generous in considering your application. Lisa almost laughed. Instead, she kept her voice steady. Generous? Is that what you call it? Every meeting, you have added new restrictions. You demand we reduce our military until we cannot protect ourselves. You demand we stop our research just as we make breakthrough discoveries. You demand control of our jump gates, which would make us prisoners in our own space. The Altarian representative pulsed with orange light, a sign of anger. These measures are for the safety of all species. Young races must be guided. Guided? Lisa took a step forward. Is that what you told the Proxians before their civilization collapsed under your guidance? Is that what you told the Etherians before they became extinct? The chamber erupted in shocked noises. No one talked about the failed species. No one mentioned those who had accepted the Council's guidance and disappeared. The High Counselor, an ancient being that looked like a mixture of plant and metal, raised one of its appendages for silence. Ambassador Coleman, you speak of matters you do not understand. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. Lisa nodded. Yes, you have maintained peace. The peace of a graveyard. The peace of stagnation. You have stopped growth, stopped innovation, stopped evolution itself because you fear change. She pulled out a small device and activated it. A hologram appeared above the table showing a timeline. This is the technological advancement of Council species over the last 1,000 years. See how flat the line is? Now look at humanity's line. The human line shot upward at an angle that seemed impossible. In 100 years, humans had advanced more than most council species had in millennia. "This is why you fear us," Lisa said. "Not because we are violent, not because we are dangerous, but because we prove that your way is not the only way. We prove that younger species can surpass older ones. We prove that your control is not necessary." The Zephyrian delegate's tentacles were now moving frantically. "You dare to lecture the council? You dare to question our wisdom?" Lisa smiled. It was not a warm smile. "I don't question your wisdom, I reject your authority." The silence that followed was complete. Even the constant hum of the station's systems seemed to pause. "Therefore," Lisa continued, her voice filling the void, "effective immediately, humanity withdraws from these peace talks. We will not accept subordination. We will not surrender our sovereignty. We will not apologize for our success. And we will not ask permission to exist." The Krovar ambassador's crystal form rang like alarm bells. "This is not acceptable. You cannot simply leave. There are procedures. There are protocols." Jack Morrison stepped forward, his hand moving to the communicator. On his belt. "Watch us." He activated the device. "Captain Ryan, this is Morrison. Execute Contingency Plan Delta. All human vessels are to withdraw from Council space immediately." Through the great windows of the chamber, they could see the human cruiser, Odyssey, beginning to move. Its engines lit up with a blue fire that was brighter than anything the Council ships produced. But it was not just the Odyssey. On the tactical displays around the room, dozens of red dots began to move. Every human ship in Council space was leaving. The Altarian's energy form blazed white-hot. "This is rebellion. This is an act of war." Lisa shook her head. "No. War is when you attack someone. We are simply leaving. We are taking our ships, our people, and our technology, and we are going home. If you follow us, if you attack us, then you will be the ones starting a war." Amy Foster stepped forward with her datapad. "I should also mention that all human, scientific data has been purged from Council databases. All human technology has been removed from Council worlds. We are taking nothing that belongs to you, and we are leaving nothing of ours behind." The High Counselor's ancient voice shook with emotion. "You would abandon the galactic community? You would go into the dark alone?" Lisa looked directly at the ancient being. "We are not going into the dark. We are going into the light of our own making, and we will not be alone. Every species that wants to join us as equals is welcome. Every race that seeks freedom over safety, growth over stagnation, will find friends in humanity." She turned to look at the younger species representatives, the Kandorians, who had joined only 500 years ago, the Nexari, who were constantly told their ideas were too radical, the Volanti, whose rapid reproduction was seen as a threat. She saw hope in their alien eyes. "The galaxy is vast," Lisa said to everyone. "There is room for more than one way of living. The Council can keep its control over those who want it, but humanity will forge a new path, a path of innovation, exploration, and freedom." The Zephyrian delegate slammed its tentacles on the table. The sound echoed through the chamber. "You will fail. Without our protection, you will be destroyed by the first crisis you face. Pirates will ravage your colonies. Void raiders will consume your worlds. You will come crawling back, begging for our help." Lisa walked toward the door, with Jack and Amy beside her. At the threshold, she turned back one last time. "Perhaps we will face challenges. Perhaps we will struggle, but we would rather die free than live as slaves. And if we fall as humans, not as pets." She looked around the chamber one more time, memorizing the faces of those who had tried to cage humanity. "One more thing," she added. "If you try to stop us from leaving, if you attack our ships or our worlds, you will learn why we advanced so quickly. Necessity is the mother of invention, and war is the greatest necessity. Do not make us show you what we invented while you were trying to chain us." With that, the human delegation walked out of the Galactic Council chamber for the last time. Behind them, chaos erupted. Voices shouted in 100 languages. Alarms began to sound as human ships all across Council space activated their drives and headed home. In the corridors of the station, Lisa met other human staff members who were also leaving. Scientists, engineers, diplomats, all walking toward the docking bays with their heads held high. Captain Ryan was waiting for them at the Odyssey's airlock. "Ambassador, all human personnel are accounted for. We're ready to leave on your word." Lisa took one last look at the Council station. It was a marvel of engineering, built by a dozen species working together, but it was also a prison designed to keep the galaxy under control. "Take us home, Captain." As the Odyssey pulled away from the station, Lisa stood on the bridge and watched the Council ships. Some of them moved as if to follow, but then stopped. They were afraid. "Good. Ambassador," Captain Ryan said, "we're receiving dozens of encrypted messages from other species. The Kandorians, the Nexari, the Volanti, and others. They're asking about joining us." Lisa smiled, and this time it was genuine. "Tell them we'll send coordinates for a meeting in neutral space. Anyone who wants to join us as equals is welcome." The Odyssey engaged its quantum drive, and space bent around it. In a flash of light that the Council's sensors could barely track, it was gone. Across the galaxy, every human ship did the same, leaving the Council's space in a mass exodus that would be remembered for millennia. The age of humanity's subordination was over. The age of humanity's freedom had begun. 6 weeks had passed since humanity walked out of the Council chambers. The Great Hall felt empty without them. The human section of the table remained vacant, like a missing tooth in an otherwise perfect smile. The Council had tried to continue, as normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. High Counselor Zerath stood at the center of the chamber. The ancient being had led the Council for 3,000 years. In all that time, no species had ever simply left. They had submitted, or they had been forced to submit, but humans had done something different. They had said no and walked away. "The situation grows worse each day," Zerath said to the assembled representatives. "Human ambassadors have left all Council worlds. Their embassies stand empty. Our trade, agreements with Earth and her colonies have ended. They do not answer our calls." The Zephyrian delegate writhed in its seat. Its tentacles had not stopped moving since the humans left. "This is temporary. They need our technology. They need our trade routes. They will come back when they realize they cannot survive alone." The Krovar ambassador chimed in disagreement. "What if they do not come back? What if they truly can survive without us?" "Impossible," the Altarian representative pulsed. "They are only 100 years into space travel. They are infants compared to us." A new voice interrupted the discussion. "May I address the Council?" Everyone turned to see a human standing at the witness podium. It was Dr. Kyle Patterson, a scientist who had been working with the Altarians on energy research. He had requested permission to speak before leaving Council space. High Counselor Zerath gestured for him to continue. "Speak, Dr. Patterson. Perhaps you can explain your people's foolish decision." Kyle smiled. It was the same kind of smile Lisa Coleman had worn when she left. It was the smile of someone who knew something others did not. "I'm not here to explain our decision. I'm here to explain your mistake." The chamber filled with angry sounds, but Kyle continued talking. He activated a holographic display that showed a timeline. "For the past 6 weeks, you've been telling yourselves that humanity needs you. Let me show you the truth. This is human technological development over the last 20 years. Not 100 years, 20. The display showed incredible advances, faster than light travel that did not need jump gates, energy weapons that could punch through any shield, defensive systems that could stop any attack, medical technology that could cure diseases the Council still called incurable. While you were trying to restrict our quantum research, we completed it. We can now create stable wormholes anywhere, anytime. We don't need jump gates at all." The Altarian's energy form flickered in shock. "That's impossible. It took us 5,000 years to build our first jump gate." Kyle changed the display. It now showed star maps with new routes marked in blue. "These are the trade routes we've established in the last 6 weeks. We're already trading with 15 species outside Council space. Species you told us were too dangerous to contact." The Krovar ambassador rang with alarm. "The Outer Rim species are savage. They will destroy you." "Funny thing about that," Kyle said. They're not savage at all. They just refuse to accept your control, so you labeled them as dangerous. We've found them to be excellent trading partners. They're eager for new technology and happy to share their resources. He changed the display again. This time it showed military formations. Our fleet has also grown. While we were in your space, we limited ourselves to match your restrictions. Now we're building ships at full capacity. We're producing a new cruiser every 3 days. The Zephyrian delegate's tentacles went still. Every 3 days? That's not possible. It takes us a year to build one ship. Kyle nodded. Yes, it takes you a year. Because you build ships the same way you've built them for 10,000 years. We improve our methods constantly. We find faster ways, better ways. That's what humans do. We innovate. High Counselor Zerath's voice was quiet. Why did you engage in peace talks at all if you did not need us? Kyle's expression grew serious. Because we genuinely wanted peace. We wanted to share our discoveries. We wanted to learn from your experience. We wanted to be part of something greater. He looked around the chamber at all the different species. We would have given you our quantum technology. We would have shared our medical advances. We would have helped you build ships in days instead of years. All we asked was to be treated as equals. The display changed one more time. It showed 2 possible futures. In one, humans and the Council worked together and the galaxy flourished. In the other, they remained separate, and the Council slowly fell behind. But you were so afraid of losing your power that you tried to cage us instead. You were so concerned about control that you forgot about growth. You were so worried about staying on top that you forgot how to climb. The Altarian representative pulsed with anger. You dare to lecture us? We have maintained order for millennia. Yes, Kyle agreed. And in those millennia, how much have you advanced? How many new technologies have you developed? How many problems have you solved? You've maintained order by stopping progress. You've kept peace by preventing change. He walked closer to the Council members. Humans have a saying, adapt or die. You've stopped adapting. You're slowly dying and you don't even know it, the Krovar ambassador chimed frantically. Even if what you say is true, you cannot survive the dangers of space alone. The Void Raiders, the Dark Nebula Pirates, the Quantum Storms. These threats require the combined might of the Council to face. Kyle laughed. It was not a cruel laugh, but it was full of pity. The Void Raiders. We've already developed weapons that can destroy them easily. The Dark Nebula Pirates. They're actually quite reasonable when you treat them with respect instead of attacking them on sight. The Quantum Storms. We can predict them now, and we're working on ways to harness their energy. He pulled out a small device and set it on the podium. This is a gift. It contains the cure for Altarian energy decay, a disease your species has suffered from for 2,000 years. We solved it in 3 weeks. The Altarian representative's form flickered wildly. Why would you give us this? Because that's what we do, Kyle said. We help. We share. We lift others up. But we won't be controlled. We won't be contained. And we won't be treated as inferiors. High Counselor Zerath stood slowly. The ancient being seemed older than ever. What do you want from us? Kyle shook his head. Nothing. We want nothing from you. We're not here to make demands or threats. I'm here to say goodbye and to make sure you understand why we left. He started walking toward the door, then stopped and turned back. Oh, and one more thing. The Kandorians, the Nexari, and the Volanti have all requested to join our new alliance. We've accepted them as equal partners. They'll be leaving Council space within the week. The chamber erupted in chaos. 3 more species leaving would be a disaster for the Council's economy and military strength. The Zephyrian delegate shouted over the noise. You're stealing our members. Kyle shook his head again. We're not stealing anyone. We're offering them a choice. Stay here and stagnate, or come with us and grow. It's the same choice you gave us, except we're not trying to control anyone. He looked at the younger species representatives. Any species that wants to join us is welcome. We don't care how old you are, how advanced you are, or how different you are. If you're willing to work together as equals, You have a place with humanity." More representatives started standing up. The Thrakari, who had been silent, members for 800 years. The Epsilon Collective, who had been told their hive mind was too alien. The Celestial Wanderers, who had been restricted from exploring beyond council borders. High Counselor Zerath raised its appendages. "Wait, if you leave, the council will collapse. The economy will fail. Worlds will suffer." Kyle stopped at the door. "Then maybe it's time for the council to change. Maybe it's time for you to stop controlling and start cooperating. Maybe it's time for you to remember that leadership isn't about power, it's about service." He looked back one last time. Humanity's door is open. If the council ever decides to treat others as equals instead of subjects, we'll be happy to talk. Real talk. Not the pretense of negotiation while making demands. With that, Dr. Kyle Patterson left the council chambers. Behind him, more representatives stood and walked out. The great Galactic Council, which had stood unchanged for 10,000 years, was breaking apart. The Altarian representative floated over to the device Kyle had left behind. The cure for their species' greatest ailment, freely given by a race, they had tried to suppress. "They could have destroyed us," the Altarian said quietly. "With their technology, they could have conquered us all. But they just left, they just walked away." High Counselor Zerath looked around the increasingly empty chamber. "No. They did something worse. They showed everyone that we're not necessary. They showed the galaxy that there's another way." The ancient being moved to the great window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was building something new. Not an empire based on control, but an alliance based on freedom. Not a hierarchy based on age, but a partnership based on merit. "We had them in our grasp," Zerath said. "The most innovative species we'd ever encountered. And we tried to chain them." The Krovar ambassador chimed softly. "What do we do now?" Zerath was quiet for a long moment. "We survive. 3 months had passed since the great exodus from council space. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Galactic Council now controlled only 60% of the territory it once held. The rest had either joined humanity's own new alliance of free worlds or declared independence. High Counselor Zerath stood in the war room of the council station. The walls were covered with displays showing red warning signals. A massive fleet had appeared from dark space. The void, between galaxies where no stars shined. The Void Raiders had come in numbers never seen before. 12 colonies lost in 3 days, the Zephyrian delegate reported. Its tentacles drooped with exhaustion and fear. "Our fleet is down to 60% strength. They're using new tactics, new weapons. We've never seen anything like this." The Krovar ambassador's crystal form was cracked from stress. "Our remaining members are pulling their ships back to defend their home worlds. The combined fleet is falling apart." The Altarian representative flickered weakly. "We've sent messages to every ally, every trading partner. No one is coming. They're all too afraid or too weak to help." Through the windows they could see the Council's fleet trying to hold formation. The ships were old, built the same way they had been built for thousands of years. They moved slowly, fought predictably. The Void Raiders tore through them like paper. "High Counselor," a communication officer called out. "The Void Raiders are approaching the core worlds. At their current speed, they'll reach us in 6 days." Zerath closed its ancient eyes. This was the end. The council that had ruled for 10 millennia would fall to raiders from the dark. There was bitter irony in it. They had told humanity it needed their protection, and now they were the ones who needed protecting. "Should we call for help?" the Altarian asked quietly. "From whom?" The Zephyrian's translator clicked sadly. "We have no allies left. We drove them all away with our demands and restrictions." The Krovar ambassador chimed once, a sound of pure desperation. "What about the humans?" The room fell silent. Everyone looked at the empty space where humanity's representative once sat. "They won't answer," Zerath said. "We've tried to contact them 17 times. They ignore us." Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. New contacts on the sensors, hundreds of them. The council members rushed to the windows expecting to see more Void Raiders. Instead, they saw something that made them freeze in shock. Ships were appearing from nowhere, not from jump gates, but from points of twisted space that opened and closed like doors. The ships were sleek, angular, and moved like nothing the Council had ever seen. They bore the blue and white colors of Earth. A communication channel opened, and Admiral Susan Chen appeared on the main screen. Her expression was stern, professional, and completely calm. "Galactic Council, this is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet. We're here to deal with the Void Raiders." High Counselor Zerath leaned forward, hardly believing what it was seeing. "You came. After everything, you came to help us?" Admiral Chen's expression did not change. "We're not here for you. We're here for the 12 billion innocent beings on the colonies under attack. They had no part in your political games. They don't deserve to die for your mistakes." The human fleet spread out in perfect formation. 300 ships moved, as one, creating a wall between the Void Raiders and the core worlds. The Council watched their tactical displays in amazement. The human ships were outnumbered 3-1, but they showed no fear. "Admiral," the Zephyrian delegate called out. "The Void Raiders have new weapons. They've adapted. Your ships will be destroyed." On the screen, Admiral Chen almost smiled. "Let them come." The Void Raiders attacked. They came in waves using the new tactics that had destroyed the Council fleet. But the humans were ready. Their ships danced through space, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. They fired weapons that phased in and out of reality, hitting targets that should have been protected by shields. Quantum torpedoes tore holes in space itself, swallowing entire Void Raider squadrons. Gravity weapons crushed enemy ships into points, smaller than atoms. Energy beams that seemed to predict where enemies would be before they moved there cut through the attacking fleet. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Void Raider fleet was gone. Not retreating, not regrouping. Gone. The human fleet had lost 3 ships. The Void Raiders had lost everything. Admiral Chen appeared on the screen again. "The threat has been eliminated. We've also placed quantum mines at the edge of dark space. If the Void Raiders return, they'll trigger an automatic response from our defense grid." High Counselor Zerath found its voice. "Why? Why did you save us?" The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "We didn't save you. We saved the innocent people who would have died. Farmers, traders, families who just wanted to live their lives. They didn't choose your government. They shouldn't die for it." She paused, then continued. "This is what humanity offered you 3 months ago. Strength through partnership, protection through unity. We would have stood beside you as equals and faced any threat together." The screen changed and Ambassador Lisa Coleman appeared. She was standing in what looked like a council chamber, but different. Behind her sat representatives from dozens of species, all at the same level, all equal. "High Counselor Zerath," Lisa said. "The Alliance of Free Worlds now includes 43 species. We share technology freely. We protect each other without demanding submission. We grow together, each species contributing their unique strengths." She gestured to the beings behind her. "The Kandorians have revolutionized our agricultural systems. The Nexari have improved our communications beyond anything we imagined. The Volanti have taught us new ways to terraform worlds. Every member makes us stronger." The Krovar ambassador chimed plaintively. "What about us? What happens to the Council?" Lisa's expression was neither cruel nor kind. It was simply honest. "That's up to you. You can continue as you are, growing weaker and more isolated each year. Or you can change. Learn to see other species as partners, not subjects. Learn to lead through service, not control." She stood up, and the other Alliance members stood with her. "We'll continue to protect innocent lives because that's who we are. But the Council itself? You're on your own. You made your choice when you tried to cage us. Now you must live with the consequences." The transmission was about to end when Lisa added one more thing. "But remember this. Humanity doesn't hold grudges forever. If you truly change, if you genuinely learn to respect others as equals, we'll be willing to talk. Real partnership is always possible for those who approach it with sincere intentions." The screen went dark. The human fleet began to disappear, jumping away through their impossible wormholes. In minutes they were gone, leaving the Council fleet looking small and outdated in comparison. High Counselor Zerath turned to the other Council members. They could have conquered us. With that technology, they could rule the galaxy. But they don't want to rule, the Altarian said, understanding finally dawning in its energy form. They want to explore, to grow, to help others grow. The Zephyrian delegates' tentacles moved slowly, thoughtfully. We spent so much time trying to control them that we never saw what they were really offering. Days passed. The Council met in emergency sessions arguing about what to do. Some wanted to declare war on humanity, but everyone knew that would be suicide. Others wanted to beg for membership in the Alliance, but their pride wouldn't let them. Finally, a month later, something unexpected happened. 3 young Council species asked to leave and join the Alliance, but instead of just leaving, they offered to maintain trade relationships with the Council. They would be bridges between the 2 groups. More surprising was humanity's response. They welcomed these species and immediately shared technology that helped the Council defend against a second, smaller Void Raider attack. No demands were made, no payment was requested. High Counselor Zerath stood in its private chambers looking out at the stars. A young aide entered, bringing reports. High Counselor, 17 more species have requested information about joining the Alliance. Our remaining members are demanding reform. They want equal representation, shared technology, and an end to the restriction protocols. Zerath turned to the aide. And what do you think we should do? The aide, a young Zephyrian, moved its tentacles nervously. I think we should learn from the humans, High Counselor. They showed us that strength doesn't come from control. It comes from cooperation. Zerath was quiet for a long moment. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps it's time for the old ways to die so that something new can be born. Over the following years, the Galactic Council slowly transformed. It became smaller but more united. It learned to treat members as equals. It began to innovate again, inspired by humanity's example. And eventually, 5 years after the withdrawal, High Counselor Zerath sent a message to Ambassador Lisa Coleman. It was simple and direct. We were wrong. We've learned. Can we talk? Lisa's response came quickly. Yes. Let's talk about the future, not the past. Let's talk about what we can build together. The galaxy had indeed changed forever. Not through war or conquest, but through the simple act of humanity refusing to kneel. They had shown that respect was stronger than fear, that freedom was better than safety, and that the youngest spee